So what happens when the struggle doesn't stop? What happens when it goes on for days? What happens when it goes on for weeks? What happens when it goes on for months? Did you know that ungodly thinking and living in struggle can become a bad habit? And it can become such a bad habit that you'll live in struggle for weeks or months, and you'll have a mental warfare going on in your mind for a long period of time, and you'll think that it's normal to live and struggle. And to break a habit, you need to replace it with another habit. I want to let you know that living under constant struggle is not normal. Even Jesus himself, the Son of God, was not constantly being attacked by the devil. So let's see what Jesus did as the devil was talking to him for 40 days, speaking into his ear. Jesus went into the wilderness for 40 days, and the devil tempted him along the way. The devil whispered into his ears and tried to get Jesus to believe things and to hear things. The first thing the devil said was, "If you are the Son of God, turn these stones into bread so you can eat." And Jesus replied with this verse saying, "No, the scripture says, people do not live on bread alone, but by every word that comes out of the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the ancient city of Jerusalem and took him to the highest point on the temple. And he told Jesus to jump off. And he said that the angels would protect him. And Jesus followed and said this, "The scripture says, you shall not test the Lord your God." Then again the devil took him and he showed him all the kingdoms of the world. And he said, "If you bow down to me, all of these kingdoms will be yours." And Jesus replied by saying this, "Get out of here, Satan, for the scripture says you must worship the Lord your God and serve him only." So what happens when the struggle doesn't go away? You have to replace one bad habit with another good habit. So as Jesus was being tempted and while the devil was talking to him for these 40 days, what is the one common thing that Jesus used to rebuke the devil, to rebuke those thoughts, to rebuke those things that the devil was whispering in his ear? He was using scripture. So this is literally what I used over these last few days as I was going through all these tough times and the devil was really whispering into my ear. I took an index card and I wrote down a verse. And every time that I was getting a negative thought or a thought that I knew that wasn't from God, I pulled that card out and I looked at it and I read it and I memorized it. So what happens when the struggle doesn't go away? You replace that negative habit, those negative thoughts, with godly thoughts. You pull out your scripture, you read it, you rebuke those negative thoughts just like Jesus did to the devil.